Hello, welcome to Thursday's show with me, Emma Caldwell. I hope you're right. Today managed to enjoy some of that sunshine. Thank you so much for joining us. Here's what's happening on today's show. First, we've heard from union leaders supporting teachers at a Nottingham school taking industrial action over their pensions and hiring policies.
If we can't recruit and retain high quality staff, that's not going to be the best deal for the students that come here. That's not good for the school, it's not good for the students, and it's not good for our members as well.
We'll have more on that in just a minute. Plus, we'll be meeting the blind actor, theatre maker and audio description consultant taking on a key role at the Nottingham Playhouse. Ben Wilson has become an associate artist at the theatre and will be helping to drive the artistic vision as well as various projects at the Playhouse too. Ben will join us shortly to tell us all about it. Plus, we're going to be hearing from Nottingham's tram operator about a new campaign to keep pedestrians safe in the city.
None of our drivers go out there with any intention other than to drive people around safely. It's a key part of what we do. We need the public and everyone in and around the city to help us with that.
And in sports, we'll hear an update from Mansfield Town about the ongoing renovations to Field Mills Bishop Street stand.
Any potential player coming here can see the investment that the club has made. You know, you're not sitting opposite now a redundant, really eyesore, which it was, and a dangerous eyesore. That's all solved now.
And we'll get reaction from New Notts County head coach Martin Patterson after the Pies suffered their first defeat under his tenureship.
We've got to be honest, there's things that I tried tonight and we looked like we probably can't do. So we have to tweak a few things. I changed shape a couple of times because I didn't like it. And we're up against a really good opposition.
All that and of course loads more Thursday goodness coming up just for you. But first, teachers at a Nottingham private school have gone on strike over cuts to their pensions and pay. Staff at St Joseph's Independent School have walked out several times as they say they're earning thousands less than their state-funded counterparts. John Devon went down to the picket line to find out more.
Although schools may be out in a matter of weeks, some teachers at St Joseph's Independent School in Nottingham have walked out for another day as they strike cuts to their pension. The National Education Union says its members are being forced into action over worsening working conditions, cuts to pensions, and a lack of engagement from school management. They say staff at the school, which is fee-paying, are paid up to £10,000 less than their counterparts in the state sector, with some of the staff working at the school for over a decade. Gareth Jones is a union representative and speaking on the picket line. He said the decision to strike wasn't taken lightly, but comes after repeated efforts to negotiate were ignored.
One of the biggest issues is around the recruitment and retention of high quality teachers for the school. Our members, some of them have worked here for over a decade. They're really passionate about delivering education for the students. They know that if we can't recruit and retain high quality staff, that's not going to be the best deal for the students that come here. That's not good for the school, it's not good for the students, and it's not good for our members as well. It's with a real heavy heart that our members are taking this action. We really shouldn't have been in this situation where strike action was necessary. The school first made their proposal for withdrawing from the teachers' pension scheme in January. There's been plenty of opportunity to talk since then. We've only met with the school twice. We've put proposal after proposal forward to try and resolve this dispute before we got to this stage. The school has rejected all of those proposals. Members really want this dispute resolved. They would much rather be teaching in the classrooms than being here because they know the impact that it's having on the students.
None of the staff on the picket line wanted to speak with us on camera. In response to the strike, we contacted St Joseph's School for a comment, but they declined to provide a statement. And with tomorrow being the final day of the school's year, it may be some time still before the teachers can take a break. John Devon for Notts TV.
Thank you, John. Right, moving on now, and it's time to meet the new associate artist of Nottingham Playhouse, who's planning on boosting relationships between the theatre and other creative organisations in the area, as well as driving forward its artistic vision. Benjamin Wilson, who's a blind actor, theatre maker and audio description consultant, follows the footsteps of others to hold the role, like playwright James Graham, and will be reading scripts, watching productions, meeting freelance theatre makers and representing the Playhouse at industry events. and he joins us now to tell us all about it. Firstly, Ben, congratulations on your new role.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having me.
Oh, you're totally welcome. So what exactly is an associate artist? What will you be doing?
That's a really good question. I've still got to work it out, really. So in theatre, the boss of a theatre is the artistic director. At Nottingham Playhouse, that's Adam Pentford, the brilliant Adam Pentford, who's a fantastic theatre director who makes all the creative decisions and a very lovely man. And normally the artistic director will have an associate or maybe 2 or 3 associates who are basically other artists that they can bounce ideas off of. If there's a show that they really want to see but they can't make it, maybe I'll go and represent Adam and that sort of stuff, and just generally be another artistic voice around the theatre. As you mentioned, try and work with more local artists and be another artist right across the organisation. I'll basically go wherever I'm useful. And if I'm going to be useful to marketing or fundraising or artist development or whatever it might be, hopefully I'll be of use.
That is very cool. And of course, you're no stranger to the Nottingham Playhouse either, are you?
That's true, yeah. So I've done a couple of things at Nottingham Playhouse before. I've been there as an actor. The first time I was supposed to be there as an actor, actually, was a tour of Oliver Twist in 2020.
Wow.
That show opened in March 2020. Can you guess what happened?
Yeah, I've got a good feeling about that one.
Yeah, we never made it to Nottingham Playhouse and the other venues on tour. So thankfully, 2 years after that, I toured to Nottingham Playhouse in Much Ado About Nothing, which was a production I was really, really proud of. And yeah, that did really, really well, that show. So yeah, and then I've done some of my access consultancy. You mentioned I'm a blind person, I'm a disabled person, so I do a lot of consultancy. So there's a lot of the staff at the Playhouse first met me when I came to do some disability equality training with them a few years ago. So I've been around as well. I've been around the building.
And what is your impression of theatre and arts in Nottingham?
I think it's great. I think Nottingham and the East Midlands in general has got a really thriving theatre scene with the big venues like Nottingham Playhouse, like the other ones we can mention. But yeah, it's also lots of independent artists and a lot of independent creatives doing amazing things, whether that's making shows, whether that's doing outreach work with young people or with all kinds of different groups. Like I think there's amazing work that happens right across it, and there's some brilliant people right across the East Midlands trying to do exciting work. I've only lived in Nottingham for a year, I'm quite new. So part of why I wanted to take this job was I've been an admirer of a lot of the artists doing great work in Nottingham. I want to get to know them better. I want to meet them. I want to chat with them and hear what they're doing and what they're up to. And I saw this job as like an opportunity to try and do a bit of that, to basically have cups of tea with nice people.
I love
and chat
that.
about their jobs.
Love that. Well,
yeah.
we are very pleased you're here. And obviously, as you said, as a blind person, accessibility is something at the forefront of your theatrical experience. How do you think we're faring within the theatre of being accessible at the moment?
I think it's a really good question. I think huge strides have been made. Like it's sort of unrecognisable to the state of accessibility in theatre, even from 10 years ago. Let alone 20 years ago when I first started going to the theatre as a blind person. But I still think there's more to do. I still think there's always more representation and better representation of disabled stories, of disabled characters, but also accessibility for audiences can always be better. I think Nottingham Playhouse has been one of the theatres that, particularly with its work as being part of a project called Ramps on the Moon that I also worked for a while, has been one of the theatres striving and trying constantly to learn and do better, and has done some amazing stuff. As an audience member, I've seen some great shows that have done really interesting things with access, and hopefully I can be part of doing more of those and doing more of that sort of stuff and really continuing to try and be the best and find what best practice is. So yeah, the short version of that answer is it's better than it used to be, but there's still always more to do, and there's still more to do, and hopefully I can be a part of Nottingham Playhouse being one of the theatres doing more of that stuff.
And it sounds like there's some really exciting stuff going on at the Playhouse. What are you hoping to get stuck into in your new role?
Great question. Like I said, creative access on shows, particularly audio description, that is my big passion. So trying to make sure we're doing the best we can do in serving our blind and visually impaired audiences would be top of my list. Also, like I mentioned, there's Becky D'Souza, who's in charge of artist development at Nottingham Playhouse. She's brilliant. I can't wait to work with her and collaborate with finding ways to get local artists into the building, doing great stuff, doing good work, and also obviously the great shows that happen on the stage. I want to, see them as an audience member, but also be helpful to those and spy on the rehearsal room and spy on the great work that's happening and making those really exciting shows. I just can't wait to be around them and get to know the team at the Playhouse better about how they, how they contribute to those and how they make the magic happen.
I just think your enthusiasm is infectious. I love that, Ben. Congratulations again on your role, and hopefully we'll see you on the sofa again soon.
Can't wait. Thanks
for
having me.
Thank you very much. All right, it's time for some other Nots news, and police have launched an appeal after a suspected arson attack at an abandoned Nottingham Health building. Emergency services were called to reports of a fire at the Pease Hill Centre on Furze Gardens in St Anne's at about 7:15 on Saturday evening. A large number of police and fire service resources were deployed to the scene amid reports that there could have been people inside, but that wasn't the case. Now they believe it was started deliberately and say anyone with information should call the police on 101. Next, and a drug dealer has been jailed after police found a block of cocaine hidden inside a shoebox at his home. The discovery was made inside Crompton Road, the home of Bryce Thompson Bradford in Bilsthorpe in March after he was arrested for unrelated matters. The 1.2 kilogram block of cocaine was estimated to have a street value of up to £120,000. Searches of the 26-year-old's home also led to the discovery of a notebook, hundreds of pounds in cash and mobile phones. In Nottingham Crown Court last week, he was jailed for 5.5 years. Next, and a man has been arrested after a crash which led to a woman being hospitalised in Nottingham. Police were called just before 3:30 on Thursday morning to reports of a crash involving a camper van in Hucknall Road near Nottingham City Hospital. A woman was removed from the vehicle and hospitalised with serious injuries, and a man was arrested at the scene on suspicion of driving offences. Nottinghamshire Police said the man was also treated in hospital and various roads in the area were closed whilst investigations continued. All right, it's time for a short break now. Go and get yourself a nice lolly. When we get back, we're going to be hearing all about a tram campaign to keep pedestrians safe in the city. Plus, we've got your sports roundup too, featuring defeat for Notts County in pre-season, and we're going to be looking ahead to this year's Splendour Festival too. Can't wait for that. That's all on the way next. Hello, welcome back to Thursday's Sunny Show with me, Emma Caldwell. Thank you so much for joining us today. Here's what's happening in Notts. First, and transport leaders in Nottingham say the end is in sight for ongoing improvements to Maid Marian Way. Work to transform the large roundabout which connected Derby Road with Upper Parliament Street and Maid Marian Way into a T-junction started last year. It's initially led to significant transport disruption in the city with criticism from bus providers. Now, a new round of overnight closures has been confirmed for 17 nights starting on July the 21st with a potential overall end date for the project on August the 18th. Next, and Gedling MP Michael Payne said he's taking a break from Parliament due to a period of illness. The Labour politician says he's suffered a severe physical illness, which means he needs to take a break from his duties. He confirmed he's receiving ongoing medical treatment, but is under strict instructions to rest. However, the MP also said his constituency office remains open and his staff are still available to support residents. And today marks exactly a decade since the final piece of coal was extracted from Thoresby Colliery, ending a 750-year mining history in Notts. The pit's closure was announced in April 2014 after owners UK Coal fell into financial trouble, with coal cut there for the last time on July the 10th, 2015. Edwinstowe Historical Society said it was one of the most profitable coal mines in Europe, employing 1,500 people at one time and producing 100,000 tonnes of coal a week. It's now the site of a country park, homes and a school. Now, if you're a regular user of our trams, you might have noticed some very colourful new signage around several stops. Well, they're a part of a new national safety campaign to reduce collisions between trams and pedestrians. The Light Rail Standards Safety and Standards Board says the summer sees an increase in these incidents, so to help people keep track of tram lines, the 2 lines equal stop campaign has been rolled out. And we caught up with NET's Health, Safety and Environment Manager to tell us more about the scheme.
LRSSB did some market research to understand effectively the inattention from pedestrians, and the research found that was the biggest cause of collisions in and around tramways. The tramway becomes a bit of background noise. It's something that people use habitually. I think we all know in Nottingham the lovely ding of the tram as it approaches. That's not done for any reason other than to alert of the tram's presence. So we often find that causes quite a lot of incidents, really, because people just naturally assume it as part of their background. So we want to try and tackle some of the big large events that take place in Nottingham, the beach, for example, Goose Fair, the Winter Wonderland. We want to target these areas, target these events where we know we'll have an increased patronage in the city, alerting them to the hazards that pose on every tramway. The idea behind the campaign is to have a really visual presence across the network, almost take them out of that habit, that human behavior that they exhibit, and bring something new to the local scenery. There's something that makes them question, and ultimately, like the campaign says, makes them stop. None of our drivers go out there with any intention other than to drive people around safely. It's a key part of what we do. It's a key part of why I'm here, and we need the public and everyone in and around the city to help us with that.
All right, time for your sport now, and we're starting with Notts County, who've suffered their first defeat under new head coach Martin Patterson after losing 2-1 to German second-tier side SV Darmstadt in a pre-season friendly. Conor Grant's late goal wasn't enough to claw back anything from the match, but it did give the Pies something to show for their travels. And speaking after the match, head coach Patterson said there's lots to take from the loss.
Things inside it that I'm looking at and going, yeah, really good. But also, we've got to be honest, there's things that I tried tonight and we looked like we probably can't do. So we have to tweak a few things. I changed shape a couple of times because I didn't like it. And we're up against a really good opposition. They were good, they were fit. And I think that showed. I think their athleticism when we were a little bit sloppy on the ball and we didn't connect, they went through us really well, and they transitioned really well. So there's a little bit of things I see in terms of in possession, but then ultimately we started the game ever so well.
Across the Trents, and Nottingham Forest players have returned to base as they get their own pre-season preparations underway. The Reds have 4 pre-season matches to prepare for the Premier League season, including a trip to Chesterfield alongside home clashes with AFC Fiorentina and Al-Qasr, and a match with Birmingham City in the Trevor Francis Memorial match. Forest are also getting ready to compete in Europe for the first time in 30 years, and we'll find out their fixtures for that within weeks. Up the A60 now, and Mansfield have released a key update on ongoing renovations to Field Mill's Bishop Street stand as the club look to bring it back to use. The Stags have been fixing the stand for years in the hope of introducing a safe standing area, bringing back part of the ground into use that's been derelict for years. And in a recent video, the club's director Sid Pepper said big progress is being made.
You can see as you pan through now how much nicer it looks. Obviously the seats have still got to go in. And that's not an easy task, but that's for somebody else. So effectively I finished, except for some hand railing. So we've got barriers at either end, and you can't see them at the moment, but where we break through to the toilets, they've got nice blue painted handrails. So this will look nice. It'll look really nice. Any potential player coming here can see the investment that the club has made. You know, you're not sitting opposite now a redundant, really eyesore, which it was, and a dangerous eyesore. That's all solved now.
Right, we go from sport to Splendour Festival now, because Nottingham's biggest summer party is just 9 days away, with Jake Bugg, Block Party, Travis and the Kaiser Chiefs, the key acts, taking to the Woollerton Hall stage. We, of course, are going to be down there with our bus, interviewing some of the biggest acts, and we'll have our annual show for you right here on the channel. Can't wait for that. And as we look forward to the Kaiser Chiefs headlining this Sunday, here's our interview with them when they last headlined back in 2017.
Your last 2 albums
Yes.
have been very different from one another.
Oh, that's a good thing,
Different
mate.
themes,
That's a
of
good
course.
thing. That's a good thing.
Which would you say was not easier, but was more manageable of a concept to take on?
They were
You know.
both really hard
Yeah.
on different ways. The first one was really hard because we had to regroup after losing a member, and that was really hard. So me and Simon did a lot of work travelling around trying to learn how to be musicians, basically.
Yeah.
We were all musicians, but try a bit harder.
So education.
Yeah, that was the.
That was a bit of rediscovering out to be Kaiser Chiefs, I think. That's how I sum it up. And then the next one was forgetting about that totally and trying something completely different.
Yeah, and that was really hard. I found it difficult because I'd taken on too many other responsibilities, like TV shows and stuff like that.
Yeah. Did you enjoy all that stuff though?
Oh, it's fantastic. But this time, I don't think it's going to be somewhere in between. We're going to take what we learnt from both of them
Definitely.
and use it. So we are writing a new record. If you're interested.
We had a conversation. We started making the next record a little bit.
Already?
Nice.
So
Well, we had a conversation where Ricky was like, "Oh, it's really hard making the last record. I'm not sure if I'm ready to make another record. Let's wait a bit." And I said, "But last time you were making 2 TV shows, a radio show, and a record all together. I think if we just make a record, it'll be easy."
And then I thought, yeah, let's make a record.
That's where your focus is at right now.
Honestly, it's so easy making records.
Because the last one was more about relationship and love and all that sort of stuff.
Well, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Well, kind of, yeah.
It was. That's what I said, so you'd be forgiven for saying that. Because that is what I said, yeah. So, yeah, you're right.
Do you ever get bored of playing the classics?
No.
No.
In rehearsal, we do.
We don't
hesitated then, I think.
I don't really listen to the question, and then I kind of thought about it. That
right,
was the
cheers.
hesitation.
Yeah.
Any we get bored of? Yes. So no.
The thing is that I imagine this is. I have no idea because I've never done anything as creative as you guys in my entire life. But when you hit that level of success, is it difficult to then just try and you're always trying to think how do I follow that up and do the next bit?
Yeah, but of course, because that's why you last 15 years.
Yeah, longevity.
And counting. So that's how you do it. You always think to yourself, how are we going to do it again? And even if you don't, it's a good way of keeping going.
You've obviously ventured down south a lot. Do you get as much stick as I do for being northern?
No, because when I'm down south, I talk in a totally different voice. I'm totally different down there. I'm going to all the parties. I'm drinking champagne.
Wearing
shorts.
Oh, you got to. You got to.
No, not at all. I mean, I think I wear it as a badge of honour being from the north.
Oh, I love that. I can't wait to see them on stage right here in Nottingham this weekend. No, next weekend. Elsewhere on the channel, and we recently aired the latest episode of the Notts TV debate with Francis Finn back on your screens to chew over some of the biggest issues hitting the local, national and international headlines. On the agenda this month was Forest City Ground expansion, the future of universities and whether welfare cuts are the right thing for the government to try. You can catch the full show right now on demand, but here is some of the discussion on those welfare cuts.
And the way you deal with the demand is get in at the start before that demand
of course,
occurs.
no one would disagree, but what's
that
the reality?
takes politicians, that takes leadership to be able to look at those issues and deal with their civil servants. And we haven't got that.
A wider issue to dealing with. And that is obviously putting more investment in at the early stages, preventing people from getting to the stage where they have to rely, on.
I think this is a wider issue, though, isn't it? Because I do agree with you that there is. The welfare bill is too expensive, and so you can't carry on with the amount of people that are wanting to claim PIP. You can't do that. I think
there are 9. Just to come in, sorry, and carry on, please. But there are 9 million economically inactive adults in the nation. So it's that as well. It's not just we've got too many benefits to pay. It's how can we get more people in the workplace?
It's the Kenny Badenoch issue, isn't it? The rider is now bigger than the horse.
Right.
And
all right, time for a look at your picture of the day. Look at this beautiful shot of the Reneth countryside was taken by our news editor Andrew Topping. And don't forget to tag us at Notts_TV on socials to get your photos shown on the telly. All right, in your weather it is hot. The heat wave has arrived and those temperatures are only going up. Look at those. Tonight we'll have a sunny evening with a high of 28 and a low of 17. And it's even hotter tomorrow. Highs of 32 and lows of 18. Slightly cooler on Sunday, but by no means cold. Highs of 30 and lows of 15. And that is the end of the show today. Thanks as always to our great guests. I'm going to be back with you tomorrow, guiding you into the weekend. But until then, enjoy the sunshine. Make sure you put on that sunscreen. I'm Emma Caldwell and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.